So 329 today we're talking about what Frank Nazar could be after signing a big ticket extension, 7 years and little over 6 million per year, a little over six and a half actually per year. I think when you talk about Frank Nazar, you're talking about a guy who brings speed. He's a guy who activates in transition with pace. He can create mid lane entries off the rush in transition and he's almost an automatic zone entry. Very fast player. Had a lot of speed burst over 22 miles per hour last year in terms of analytics, and certainly one of the faster players I believe in the league at his age already, and one of the more dynamic in terms of raw skill, raw talent, the raw puck skill flair, the ability to use his hip pocket for deception, the ability to cruise around defenders at high speeds, and he's a guy that handles the puck at a string and is able to maintain the puck at those high speeds, which is really impressive to see and really fun to watch. I think when you're talking about his potential, I see a guy that could hit upwards of 70, 80, maybe even 90 points. I think 70 to 80 is more realistic right now, just with the potential that he showed this last year. There's potential for him to be a guy that evolves into more of a top line winger throughout his career. His potential just continues to grow and grow and grow, and it's very exciting to watch. I think there's a lot of offensive talent there, a lot of raw talent and raw skill that is already there, and he plays a two-way game too. I think that's what's also really exciting is you don't necessarily see it in terms of analytics right away because he has yet to have a full NHL season under his belt. We don't really know what he could be in terms of underlying numbers quite yet. And some of the 5-on-5 numbers in terms of offense and defense were a little underwhelming for him. But I think you're going to see much more improvement, and we should see much more improvement in the coming years out of him. And with Nazar specifically, I think the the dynamic to his game is he's fun to watch, but at the same time he can play a complete game. And there's potential for him based on positioning and instincts and motor and forecheck and competitiveness. I think there's a lot of potential for him to actually evolve into a star player based on that complete style of play. High level hockey sense. He's a guy who anticipates pucks really well. Like he gets to spots on time. He's able to forecheck and get around guys quickly. Like, I think an underrated skill in tandem with using your speed when you're forechecking is Nazar's ability to figure out where the play is going to go right away. And I think that's such an underrated component to a forecheck alone because with forechecking, there's so many unknowns in terms of if it could be a D to D pass, it could be a rim, it could be a puck that gets stopped by the goalie, and the goalie could rim it around quicker. Something like that. I think there's just situations where Nazar reads really quickly off the forecheck. Half of it has to do with the speed that he has to be able to get on the forecheck quick and be able to get to space quick. The other component to that is being able to make the reads, and he's able to make those reads at a high speed and just he relies more on his instincts. It's not even actually thinking, he just knows where it's going to go. It's a rare quality and it's unique. And for him to have that level of motor, that level of speed, that level of puck skill, and the offensive talent that we saw him really evolve into after the Four Nations break, I think this is a deal that makes complete sense. I know there's risk attached to it, but if this is a player who's willing to sign and has shown a lot of complete potential already, I think you bank on him to be able to be even more long term. And I don't think it's a bad move, honestly. Sure, you could have went 2 or 3 years with him, but I think this is a move that solidifies his confidence in himself, knowing that he knows that the Hawks are going to be relying upon him, and at the same time knowing that he has more confidence in himself because he just signed a big extension. So I think it's going to benefit both sides, and there's going to be a boosted confidence for both too. There's a, I don't think obviously watching a lot of Nazar, I think this is a deal that can really play out positively. And I don't necessarily like to look at too many of the negatives because I believe there's a tremendous amount of upside with this contract. And with the style of play, the translatable factors that Nazar has in his game, I am not. I would be concerned about a player like this who hasn't played much in the league, but based on the translatable qualities that I've seen out of Nazar, not only offensively but defensively, his motor, his ability to use positioning, his ability to anticipate and use his hockey sense in so many key situations. Surprisingly, I'm not concerned about this deal at all. I thought I would be when I saw it initially, but then I read more into it, thought more about it, and I'm like, this makes sense. This just makes complete sense not only for Nazar but for Chicago, because he's a guy that they envision as a key component to that core moving forward, and you're gonna need to have a guy like Nazar to be able to contribute and be relied upon offensively. He brings a component that they don't really have too. He brings high speed, high tenacity, high motor. And he brings that regularly, and he's competitive. Like he's got a feisty compete level to him. And I think with Nazar, you're going to be seeing this evolve into more of a player who becomes more special over time. He evolves that motor into not only forechecking, but just being able to shut plays down, be a shutdown player, be a guy who can be relied upon in all situations, not only at 5-on-5, but also shutting plays down late in the game, shutting plays down in playoffs or something like that. Just situations where you can really heavily rely upon him because of his compete, his ability to close gaps quick, his ability to have that active stick and just be a relied upon defensive player. We're going to see more offensive skill out of him in the coming seasons, but we're going to see more defensive capability out of him too. So we're going to see both sides of it. And again, I'm not concerned about this deal because I've seen Nazar. I've watched a ton of Nazar. He's translated seamlessly to every level that he's played at. I'm not concerned about this. I think this is going to really play out very nicely for Chicago long term. And I'm obviously a little biased, but I genuinely believe this is going to be a great contract for them down the line.